Hello and welcome to Local Edition. I'm Leslie Leyton. We're speaking with Assemblyman Curt Hagman, who is proposing a study to look at the effects of realignment on our local communities. A lot of inmates who've been serving time in county jail because of overcrowding in the state prisons are being released into our communities. Welcome, Curt Hagman.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you're proposing legislation to do a study to see the statistics, what is really happening crime-wise in our community. Tell us about that. And then if you do find that crime is up, what can be done?
Sure. And we're always showing the first year of realignment studies from the Department of Justice has shown that crime has increased in every category, from murder on down. And so we believe it's bad policy to begin with. But what do? You have to have alternatives. And other states have other ways that they're dealing with overcrowding. If they take a person that's sentenced to 10 years and that person's been a model prisoner for 4 of those 10 years or 5 of those 10 years, maybe the last 5 years they could be put at house arrest with a GPS. And they have what's called a reentry court, where the judge looks at each individual inmate and say, you need to go back to school. You need to go back to work to provide income for your family. But you're on these restrictions. You're going to go leave your house at 8:30, be home by 5:30, and you only take these paths to and from work. So there's different ways with technology they could pick, kind of cherry pick the ones that are least risky to the public to put back in at their home or other facilities. There's been proposals to take the elderly, the ones that are 70, 80 years old, they're still serving time, into that have medical needs that cost the state a lot of money, into a prison that only deals with medical.
But isn't that already the idea that it's going to be the low-level offenders, the low-risk offenders that are going to be released first back into our communities?
But that's, I think, the fallacy of this program right now. First of all, once you hit your capacity at county jail, you release everybody. Mm-hmm. Okay, you cannot enter anybody, there's no room at the end, so to speak. So you're not really picking which one's the lowest level or which is the highest level. And secondly, I would probably argue that someone who's doing burglaries every night, which we consider a low in our definition, versus someone who got sentenced 15 years ago on something maybe as aggravated assault with a weapon that probably has learned his lesson. Maybe that burglar is more of a risk to the public to doing a crime right now than someone's been serving time for 10 years already that may have learned their lesson and hopefully been rehabilitated. That's what we're trying to do. So I think we give that power to the sheriff, give that power to their correctional facilities to go through a systematic program that the legislature should give them a block it, but give them some options. This guy's been sentenced to 10 years. We don't give them an option. They have to serve their time before they get released. But he's been a model prisoner. We know that he's not going to be a risk. He's changed new leaf after 5 years. I mean, minimum amount of time you have to go in. We're going to try him on a monitor program, go out. Same thing in the county jail. I'd rather stop that behavior that's going on daily. If you arrest someone today for petty theft, for grand theft, burglaring houses, and they're only getting caught once out of every 10 times they do it anyway, and release them tomorrow, they're going to go right back to it, maybe burglarize another 10 houses. How many victims are we creating out of that, even though it's considered a low-level offender?
What about the option of building new facilities on the state level so they don't get sent to county in the first place, or here, so that we keep them locked up?
Yeah, and under the Schwarzenegger administration, we actually outsourced a lot of our prisoners to other states, which is cheaper than housing them inside. It's not so much the facilities that cost so much, although they're expensive. It's the operation of those facilities. We have the higher rates for our employees and correctional officers that serve them. So there's different ways. Another proposal out of Texas was to have the inmates learn a trade from state inmates and build their own prisons. It was a pretty neat thing. We have the land, let them learn how to do the tilt-ups, the plumbing, the electrical, and they would earn their way to being released, have some money in their trust account when they go so they could buy tools and materials, and they know to trade when they leave. So there's a lot of models from other states, and we need to learn from them what works and what doesn't and adapt them in California. And we propose legislation on a lot of that.
So what you're saying is, let's just take another look at everything on the table and make some smart decisions.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you very much, Curt Hagman.
Thank you
for being here. Thank you for joining us. I'm Leslie Leyton.